And I go, I would vote for Trump before I'd vote for Biden.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. So Joe Rogan reads the energy of a room. Dude, he makes him a great announcer, makes him a great UFC ringside guy. He reads the energy. So how you like this energy, Joe? This is what the polling looks like for Joe Biden in the 2024 general election, national general election. Biden loses to Nikki Haley. Biden loses to Ron DeSantis. Biden loses to Donald Trump. This according to left-wing pollsters at left-wing college campuses. Biden losing to Donald Trump in every poll in America right now, some of them by 10 points. Electoral landslides, 300 electoral votes for Donald Trump. So what does this mean? Well, Joe Rogan is saying that there's a far less sophisticated translation of these polls, and it looks like this. When Donald Trump walked in to UFC in Madison Square Garden last weekend, Joe Rogan said he's never seen anything like it. Watch.
What's your take on this whole Trump trial? Because one of the wildest aspects of it is that every time they go after him, he rises in the polls. And, you know, he was at the UFC this weekend in Madison Square Garden, and he's showed up at the UFC before. And the response back then was a lot of cheers. There was some boos. This was a couple of years ago. Now, when he walked out of Madison Square Garden, it was f***ing bananas.
Really?
It
Went
was
crazy.
the whole place was cheering. He walks out to Kid Rock's American Badass with Kid Rock and Tucker Carlson walking in like the right-wing Avengers. And the place went nuts. He's on the screen, and I'm telling you, the 99% other than Bill Burr's wife, 99%
Well,
of
Bill
the
Burr's
people,
wife, yeah. There was that,
fucking-
yeah.
That's a Bud Light moment right there. I'm telling you, the fucking cheers of the crowd were nuts. I mean, it was overwhelmingly in support of him, and it lasted a long time. I mean, it was a roll.
That team is making his way into the building. One of the bigger mixed martial arts fans I know, President Donald Trump, taking his octagon side seat for UFC 2.
That's crazy.
We got two title fights coming up at UFC 295 here in a matter of moments, live from Madison Square Garden.
I mean, you had to hear what the crowd sounded like before he walked in and then when he did. I mean, it was just overwhelming cheers for over a minute. I mean, just imagine a minute of people screaming at the top of their lungs. Yeah!
When he walked out of Madison Square Garden, it was effing bananas. He said it was like the right-wing Avengers. The place went nuts. And then he compared it to other times that Donald Trump has walked out in arenas that he's been in. You hear some boos, you hear some people cheer. But now it's just people screaming and cheering, saying, this sucks. Joe Biden sucks. This life sucks. Under this administration, please, God, give us Trump back. Of course, also there at the event, one of our favorites, Alina Habba, wearing the FJB necklace, Donald Trump's lawyer right here, with Woody Johnson as the owner of the Jets, and the MAGA clutch. Speaking of clutch, bam, there's your FJB, baby. The energy is here. Little pump. Starting a We Want Trump chant at the University of Arizona last night. He's been doing this all over the country. Listen to this.
One thing to say, we want Trump! We want Trump! We want Trump! We want
I mean, like, what else do you want from me, right? Like, I'm a guy who's totally okay with non-scientific data polling. I think that's very good. The people who listened to the non-scientific data polling in 2016 were right. The people who are like, there's no Hillary Clinton signs in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. That doesn't bode well for Hillary Clinton. There's a lot of Trump signs. Those people ended up being right in 2016. So the polls be damned, even though the polls now show Donald Trump winning, you got rappers on your side, you got UFC fighters on your side, and you got Joe Rogan on your side. Again, we love Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's the most powerful man in media. Love Tucker Carlson, but by the numbers, Joe Rogan just absolutely dominates on podcast downloads and people actually listening to what he has to say. 15 to 20 million downloads per episode means that Joe Rogan the most listened to man in the world. He's like all primetime cable news networks combined don't equal Joe Rogan. And here's what Joe Rogan has been saying about Donald Trump. We've actually been tracking this. Listen to Joe Rogan evolve on his opinions of Donald Trump. It's actually wild. Watch.
Isn't that crazy? Boy, what if things change? He was in all the rap songs. Rappers would always talk about Trump. Everybody loved Trump. He was like this wheeling, dealing billionaire character that everybody enjoyed.
Yeah. I felt like he did a decent job.
As president? When you look at his regulations, it certainly helped the economy.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
that guy who was
I
the
feel
head
like
of...
we were in a lot better spot then than now, for sure.
Without a doubt. One more year from now.
There's no way.
How?
Newsom is coming up and trying to run. There are other people that are circling. I don't think he runs again. I can't see it. I don't see it.
How do you think they get Kamala Harris to step down? Because she's rightfully, if he steps down, until
Kamala Harris cannot say a sentence. It's almost she's almost worse than him. She talks in like gypsy curses. When they ask her something, she'll be like, "My grandma said that a hive of bees is still bees if you bury it," and you're like, "What the is this saying?"
gypsy curses. Yeah. And the people that love Trump, they feel like this is a witch hunt. And they feel like all the things he's getting indicted for are bullshit anyway. Not only does it not work, but it kind of hardens their position that he's being targeted. And that these are like the actions of a banana republic. You take your political rival and you arrest him. And specifically, you charge him with things that you're fucking guilty of. Like the documents, like the classified documents. Biden's guilty of the exact same issue. When I was a kid, you could have a Republican friend. Like it was no big deal.
Yes.
It's no big deal. Like, oh, Bobby likes George Bush. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? You were a supporter of Bill Clinton. He liked George Bush. Nobody cared. Nobody fuck you. You know, it wasn't like you're a Nazi. Like I'm a Nazi. I just want lower taxes.
What the fuck are you talking about?
How did I become a Nazi?
Dude, it's the craziest thing. I have friends who support Trump. I have friends who support Biden. I have friends.
Do you really have friends who support Biden?
I do.
Come on.
No. Here's what I do. I have friends. Thank you. That's a good check because that's important. This is important context.
They support the Democratic Party.
I have friends who are loyal to the party.
Yeah.
I feel like nobody agrees that having a secure border is a bad idea. I think everyone thinks a secure border is a good idea.
Well, it became a political talking point during the Trump administration because people wanted to label Trump as racist and they wanted to label the wall as racist. But meanwhile, Obama
That's crazy.
it's so dumb. Obama was talking about that. The only way Biden's going to win again is never Trump. These never Trump people.
Yeah.
There are people that will vote for a fucking box of hammers before they would vote for Trump. And that's a real segment of our population. I don't know what percentages, but it's probably fairly high. They have enough trust in the Democratic establishment that they think that the Democrats would figure out a way to run the country better, even with a puppet, than they would with Donald Trump in office.
Yeah.
And I go, I would vote for Trump before I'd vote for Biden, just because I think with Biden, like he's gone. Biden to me is like having a flashlight with a dying battery and going for a long hike in the woods. It is not going to work out. I believe there's an also large group of people that are very uncomfortable with a man who seems to be mentally compromised winning the election and doing so by hiding. I mean, the guy's never. He was just at another thing the other day, and he forgot where he was. It seems to me like the more time goes on, Trump is a shoo-in. It seems like if this kid's getting crazier and crazier, there's going to be a lot of liberals that'll vote for him. He was the one in the beginning. We got to stop people from dying. Like, do you want Ukraine to win this war? Remember that conversation? He's like, I want people to stop dying.